apparently don't have their Legolas alias set up correctly. And it's going nowhere, or I don't know, getting an infinite loop or something or other. But check that out. If you don't seem to have an assignment, you can first of all investigate what's wrong with Legolas, and then also email me for a reset of that. All right, to do this thing, chapter 2 is probably good to look over again, where they talk a little bit about how to make the shell do what you want. But the main thing that's going to help you out, since this is a CSH script, are pages 39 through, I think, 43 or something like that. And we'll go over those first today, and then we'll go back to lab 7. So, yeah, up to 42. So I've got 4 different scripts here to go through to give you some idea of what you can actually do with your shell. You're used to typing just one line at a time, but it really is kind of a full programming language with links and all sorts of things like that. All right. So, well, we'll take a look at this first one then, and I've also brought up a terminal here so we can even try some of these things if we wish to. Right? Pound is the comment, as we mentioned last time when I was looking at CSH versus SH, essentially, that little script earlier on in the text here. Pound is your comment character, and it doesn't have to be the first character on the line. You could have some actual command and then a pound sign, and then it ignores whatever comes after that. So you can use them sort of like you would / in C, for example. All right, and the first one says what shell to exit. In this case, it says run a CSH, but with a fast startup. Don't bother reading all the aliases and stuff in the CSHRC script because we don't need those things. So that's what -F does. It says ignore CSHRC. Otherwise, every CSH or TCSH shell that you start up looks in your CSHRC and tries to do the stuff there, which means if you break that badly enough, you can essentially break your shell. We had at least one person who had sort of like a recursive loop that kept reading over OHM CSHRC or something like that over and over and over again, and that caused lots of problems. Okay. All right, so some comments here about how this thing works. First of all, we can test how many command line arguments there are. You can get your script to pay attention to not just the name of the command, but also words that you put after them. And most of the people who've gotten scripts do have to pay attention to the words that come after the command that they're running here. So this will show you a little bit about how you can manipulate those things. All right. So if you don't give it enough arguments, it'll tell you about that. And if you do give it enough arguments, then it'll continue on down to where I purposely have a mistake in this little script. All right, now if you want to get at the name of the script, whatever it happens to be called here, $0 will get you to that. Right? That is the argument 0 essentially on the line. And of course, $1 is then the next one, $2 would be the next one, and in this case, $3 would give you an error because there is no third argument after the word. Now, in CSH, this is the way you refer to them in Bash, for example, but CSH actually has arrays of strings that you can get at. Now, argv sub 0 isn't defined in CSH. You start counting the way normal humans do at 1, but argv1 would have been this A, argv2 would have been that B, and so on. So that's another way to get at those arguments. All right, and in general, if you do $pound and then the name of an argument, that tells you how many words are in that string, in that array, essentially. And argv, kind of like they borrowed this from C, which is where they got the the pun of the C shell here. It's a shell, but it's based on the C language. So $pound with some argument name will tell you how many words you've got. Let's take a look at some examples of that. We could, for example, echo $path, and it's all these words here. I could echo path sub 1, right? And it'll tell me the first of those words. That was this word here. That's path sub 2, that's path sub 3, etc. And if I instead echo $pound path, it'll tell me how many words I've got. In this case, there's 9 different components in there. So that's how you essentially measure how big your array is. All right, so that is what this is doing here with this first if statement. So for CSH, there's two versions of if that you can use. You can say if, give it some condition, and then just put one line out here of the thing you want to execute if it's true. Or you can do an if with a then, and then you can have a whole bunch of stuff up until either an else or an end if. So else is a keyword that makes sense as well. So typically it's if some condition in parentheses, then an else, then some other stuff, and then an end if. But every if has to be matched with an end if, unless you're using that shortened version where you just say if something or other and then one single line. Then you don't need any then, you don't need any end if or anything like that. So there's a shorter version that can be used. That's mentioned on the CSH versus SH page, which was back on page 18. So this will be another place to look for some clues about how to do some things. Right, so except that one doesn't have as many comments in it, etc., to tell you how things work. So before you start your assignment, you probably want to read over these guys and make sure you understand all the tricks that are available for you to use. Okay. All right, now, if the number of arguments is less than 3, right, so notice less than this symbol here means something different than you're used to it meaning within a shell. Normally that means input redirection. Not always. So in this case here, if we've got it inside the parentheses here, it's going to look up one term and it's got some other term here. It's going to compare those together. They can both be variables. They can both be constants, but that's kind of dumb to do a conditional and you already know what the answer is. Right? But in this case, it would take something like 9 or a 3 or whatever we have and compare it to a 3. If it's smaller than 3, then we're going to complain and be done. All right, so among the things that we could do here is do an echo command. Now, unfortunately, in CSH, it's rather tricky to send things to standard error. Normally, when you have an error message, you want it to go not to standard out, but to standard error. This version of echo that we have here only sends stuff to standard out. Some echoes have a -e option, which will let you send things to standard error, and I guess I haven't checked to see whether, I don't think Rohan has that. But I haven't checked to see whether your machines do. So, as it says in the assignment I sent you, it's okay to send error messages to standard out, even though usually you send them to standard out. That would be okay on this particular assignment. And echo, of course, does the usual. It reads out the various things that you would like. So in this case, we can tell it to do $0 here, which is going to print out, something like csh.test usage. Although if you had typed in a big long path name that ended with CSH test usage, it would have printed out all of that path. And then you say it's got to have at least 3 arguments, and then generally we use square brackets to indicate additional arguments that are optional. Let's do man on cat, and I'll sort of show you how that works. Well, they don't have a very good page for that. They do show you a little bit here, right? These dash options here can be there or not. That's what the square brackets mean. You're allowed to have them, but you don't have to have them. You can say just plain old cat. And indeed, you don't even have to list a name here for the file. Right? You don't have to give it a name of the file to concatenate. We actually have done that. It sounds kind of stupid, right? But we use that in pipelines when you're doing that god-awful SSH thing to move your magic key from Legolas over to the other machine. So it can be used without. So we would mimic this same sort of thing. But, as you probably noticed, square brackets, just like almost every other piece of punctuation, means something to the shell. So we have to be a little bit careful. If I said the square brackets here mean some subscript from an array. So if I just have a square bracket on the line, it may not understand what we want. So I have to say backslash square brackets here if I really want a square bracket that the shell doesn't screw up for us and try to interpret it a different way. So here we're saying got to have those 3 arguments, and optionally you can have a 4th argument and ... presumably people would interpret, okay, you could have a 5th and a 6th, and that's okay too. So it's a reasonable message. All right, now another thing that we could do to get a better version of this would be to put the $0 into a variable name. Here's how you make assignments to variable names in the shell. You don't have to declare the thing anywhere. You just start using a word, and the shell says, okay, I'll make up a space to put this word for. And we're going to assign it whatever the value of $0 is. And again, that might be some really, really, really long string that's in there. But we can tell it, hey, print out $name, but only give me the tail of that thing. And that has the effect of getting rid of most of the stuff right up until the last slash that it finds, which means it's only going to give you this portion. Right? So that way you can get just the name of the thing rather than a big long path name, even if the user typed in a big long path name. Usually you don't want to see all of that other stuff. Okay? Now, unfortunately, $0:T doesn't work. We have to give it a regular CSH name before you can do it, which is why we have to do this little dance. You think you could just say $0:T, but no. Now, there are other things you can do if you need them, and occasionally you'll find those useful. And I've got a whole bunch of useful things that you can do within CSH on the back page of your notes here. Right? And somewhere we have looked at the different choices of :T, :R, etc. Yeah, right. So up here shows you some of the things that we could do. :T is the one that we have looked at right now. Right? So if we had a variable name, which was this whole big long thing here, what we've seen, :T will get rid of everything right up into that last slash, and you get just the name that you want. But you could also get the root of the thing, everything up to the last dot. It'll throw away the stuff from the last dot. Head here will give you essentially a directory name of the stuff that's in front of it. So it'll get rid of the stuff behind the last slash, if any. Otherwise, you get just the same name. And in many versions of CSH, there is an extension one. You can do :E and get what comes after the last dot. So you can get the stuff before the last dot, or after the last dot, before the last slash, or after the last slash. Those are all things that you can pull apart. Now, you could do it yourself with a command like sed, the stream editor or whatever, but many things are built into the shell for you, so you don't have to mess with that. So this back page is also another thing that would be good to study to learn how to do some of the tricks you may need, or find convenient at least, for your scripting assignment. Here's where they talk a bit about that argv stuff. So there is a special name called argv that's already there for you, which tells you what the command line arguments are. And normally all you've got is $0 when you run a shell, TCSH, that's the name. But you can say TCSH and give it the name of the script or something to run, and then we'll have a $1 or an argv one, however you want to look at it. So here, this shows you some of the ways to do this. Notice you can give ranges of names and have it give you several different arguments along the way. Let's try that with our little path guy here. Right, where we have that, we got just the one guy. I'm going to replace the 1 with 3 to 5, and it should give me items 3, 4, and 5, essentially. Let's echo $path again and see that really is what it is. Item 3, item 4, and item 5. So you're allowed to do stuff like that as well with the shell to manipulate